Hey, so when it comes to SSI, your living arrangements are really, really critical. If the SSA, when it looks at each month that you have potentially been eligible for an SSI benefit payment, um, when it looks at your living arrangements, if you are being gifted your living arrangement, your shelter, the basic utilities that go with that, that would be heat. I think garbage is included in there, water, electric, the basics. If those are being gifted to you without an expectation even a verbal understanding that you're going to start paying back what was provided to you while you couldn't pay because you had no income and couldn't work. Um, if that is a gift and not a understood loan, when the SSA goes back and looks at all the months to see how much retro it's going to owe you or prospective, it's going to essentially subtract out about a third of the full SSI benefit to not be included in your benefit because that portion is for shelter and you're getting it for free from somebody else. So make sure you know what you're doing and what you can expect. People sometimes get shocked when they're not getting the full 900 and something now because they were being gifted their shelter. Um, sometimes the person gifting to them didn't expect it to be a gift and maybe thought it was a loan. So it's something to think about, because if it was a loan and you are, back in whatever month previously or year, you guys discussed it and you were going to be paying that back when you came into your income, whether you recovered, inherited, won the lottery, or won a disability case, it doesn't matter. If it was for any reason and it was unconditionally understood that you would be paying back, you're going to want to make sure that's ideally you're going to document that in real time. A lot of friends and family don't do that. It's a verbal understanding. It's a gentleman's agreement, ladies' agreement, whatever you want to call it. And there is a form. I will try to link it at the end of this video, that the SSA has, where the person lending the shelter can document when they had this arrangement, how they expected to be paid back, that it was a mutual understanding, how much has been loaned out. A lot of times it's kind of like a flat rate understanding, like, yeah, you got your room and your board here for, $600 a month or whatever. And then you can add up the months they were there, and that's what they owe you back. If it was a loan back in time, and that question is satisfied, those months will be payable for the full SSI amount that's applicable for those months in that particular year. If it is considered a gift, and sometimes it is a gift, sometimes parents are like, no, I would never ever charge my child, my adult child. Then it's a gift, and then they will take 1/3 less for all of those months. And going forward, which is an easier question, are you paying your way? If you're still, living with friends or family, paying the, if you're renting, basically you have a room, you can walk through the house, but you don't really have domain, and you're in your own little place there. If it's gifted to you, you're going to continue to get a reduced amount of SSI because you don't need the shelter component. If it is now where you are responsible for paying rent, and it's expected and understood, basically a verbal or a written rental agreement, then you will get the full amount so that you can use part of that to pay rent. It's easier to obviously think of that once it happens, when you have won your SSI case. But it's something to think about when you file for SSI, because you might want to make sure that you are responsible for rent versus not, so you get the more full amount. It'll be between you and your benefactor of sorts. So, but just something to know. And ideally, you guys document it in real time back in the day. But in the case that you did not, because a lot of friends and family don't, I mean, who does that amongst friends, friends and family? There is that form where the lender of the shelter, who knows that there was an understanding to pay it back, can document that. And the only effect that's going to have, that's not going to be something where they're taking you to court or anything like that, but it documents for the SSA that this was indeed back in the day, not just made up now, but that back in the day, that was our arrangement. Yes, 3 years ago, we came to this understanding that he clearly wasn't going to be able to work and he couldn't pay me, but I'll loan him the shelter because he needed a place to stay. And when he gets back on his feet and has a little bit extra, he will start to pay me back. And that form, again, I'll link it at the end. It's about bona fide loan of like in kind instead of cash. There's a whole nother video. Cash is not king in the SSI world. But this is when they're giving you something that SSI is supposed to cover, because an SSI will not cover it. That would be the shelter. It also, in a way, although it's not part of this video, pertains to food and medical. But we're just talking about shelter because it's a very common one to see the 1/3 approximate deduction. So if you haven't done it before you prevailed, when you prevail, you want to get your ducks in a row, because very shortly thereafter, they're going to be asking you about this. And you want to have your documents prepared and knowing refreshing yourselves. If it's been 3 years, and be like, yeah, what was that again? Oh yeah, okay, we were going to pay the going rate. That's 300, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So just make sure was it a loan or was it a gift? And that way, when it comes to your perk interview, you will have that information on hand. You're still going to get SSI if it's gifted to you. It's just a difference of whether or not you're going to be paid for the shelter, because if it was a loan, you can be, but if it was a gift, you can't be. Okay. So if you need that document, that SSA document for the lender, the homeowner or the renter who was giving you the benefit of a loaned room all that time, it would be for them to fill out, and they could give it to you and you submit it or what have you. I should add that it's not like the SSA is going to come chasing you down and say, pay it, pay it, pay it. Obviously, you probably want to do that anyway. And oftentimes when it's SSI, it's, people do pay it back in short amounts, because you don't have that much income with SSI. You might be paying back at $20 a month because now you're paying your actual rent for the current month. So anyway, give it some thought. I hope that helps. If you are not intended to be denied part of your SSI for the past months, you want to set your ducks up properly so that you can properly represent yourself on that. Okay. All righty. Take care now. Bye.